get to the Clone Wars stuff. We got to wrap this up. We've got the trailer. It dropped today, along with the a beautiful new poster. There's some poster art.
Oh, it looks great.
Came out today, and let's take a look at that for the folks of you watching at home. Here, look at this.
Came out this week.
Yeah, let's say this week. The final season. And as we get into the trailer, this is it. They really build this up as the end of this incredible series. And it is. Though they seem to be closing the door before it reopens, closing the door on future Clone Wars adventures.
Mm-hmm.
But we've got a confirmed air date beginning February 21st. New season streaming February 21st. Jim, probably no reason to believe that it's going to happen any other way than what we've seen with The Mandalorian and various other Disney Plus series. An episode a week dropping.
Yeah.
I would assume that's the way it's going to go.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
I guess. I just am really only looking forward to the final 4 episodes. We're going to get 12 episodes, sure. But it's going to be the Crystal Crisis on Utapau story arc and the Bad Batch story arc, in which we've already seen animatics for entire episode animatics with full voice recordings. I wish they didn't release those, because then
they didn't know.
All of this would feel so fresh,
Right.
It doesn't. The only thing that's going to be fresh is it's going to be the final 4 episodes. And those are going to be amazing episodes. Finally showing the Jedi having a showdown with the Mandalorians. And the Mandalorians are under the rule of Darth Maul. Correct?
Yep.
Or I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
because Palpatine defeated Darth Maul and incarcerated him in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
So there is the comic book, of course, that everyone points at. Says, oh, well, this explains everything, how he got set free and all of that. So I don't know. I'm jumping to a quick assumption here that he's going to go back to Mandalore. Probably not. He's going to go and establish the Crimson Dawn.
Right.
He's going to do.
Yeah, I'm looking at this thing and I'm seeing immediately after seeing this trailer, I'm thinking about the Solo film. I'm thinking obviously of The Mandalorian and Death Watch and Din and all. It's all part of the. It's just blowing my mind. It's blowing my mind. Let's get into the trailer.
Let's just dive in.
All right, let's go in.
Have you seen this trailer many times? I only saw it once.
I saw it a couple times.
So, I'm
so
curious to see. I saw a lot of good stuff.
Go
in
ahead
there.
and at least start it, and then we can, of course, pause.
Soon, the galaxy will be remade.
Yeah, the galaxy will be remade. Darth Maul, voice of Sam Witwer as Darth Maul.
And then Mandalore.
See,
that's why I'm jumping to these conclusions. Is that because what was the name of the crime syndicate that he had prior with the planet Mandalore? He brought in the Pikes. He brought in some other bad eggs. What was the name of the Shadow Collective? The Shadow Collective.
God, boy, that's like hitting me like a ton of bricks. I don't remember that at all.
Yeah.
The Shadow
and
Collective.
so then I guess that evolves into the Crimson Dawn somehow. Will we be seeing elements of that here in the Clone Wars? I hope so. But obviously here we're seeing Mandalore. We're seeing the back of Bo-Katan's head as she looks out onto the planet. It looks like there's a lot of smoke and activity happening.
All right, we'll resume here.
The Jedi and the Republic will die.
So Darth Maul is seeing a vision. He's got a sense of where the galaxy is headed. Of course, he's tuned into the Force. Jim, at this point, I wouldn't call him necessarily. Well, we don't know what happened between him and Palpatine, But I feel that Darth Maul post Episode 1, he's sort of in the middle. He's not a Sith. In fact, I would argue that he wants to destroy the Sith. He's out for revenge, not only against Obi-Wan Kenobi, but against Palpatine as well.
Yeah, I think he's turned his back on the Sith.
Yeah.
Because exactly. That's what Palpatine represents, is the Sith. So, I'm pretty sure that he's just kind of a rogue Darksider at this point in time.
Yeah. And one of the ways he can secure power, he can't secure power spiritually, at least not that to match Palpatine, but is through these crime syndicates. And as we found at the end of the Clone Wars and Rebels, or Clone Wars rather, a takeover of Mandalore.
I sense a plot to destroy the Jedi.
Now, this is cool. This is something, Jim, you and I talked about a long time as we were covering the Clone Wars. We said, wouldn't it be great if the Clone Wars actually ran long enough to overlap the events of Revenge of the Sith? And we're actually seeing this right here. This is a conversation. We'll play it in just a minute. But this is the other side of the camera of the big conversation between Obi-Wan and Mace Windu and Yoda. I sense this plot to destroy the Sith. Yoda says, this is when they decide that now that Grievous is destroyed, what Palpatine's next move is will determine whether or not, or will provide evidence whether or not he is the Sith Lord. And he's been manipulating all of this from day one.
Right.
Great care we must take.
Why would anyone walk away from being a Jedi?
Here's Ahsoka, and she's being confronted by, I don't think we've seen this character before.
No.
With the pompadour here on the head.
Looks like a cow pie is sitting on her skull.
I think I saw her earlier this week, downtown Cleveland, man.
At the outside the bus depot.
But we know that Ahsoka is probably hiding within the bowels, the lower levels of Coruscant, and
1313.
Yeah, right. And this character, we don't know this character. It's new for this season, and questioning why would anyone not, why would anyone leave and stop being a Jedi?
We were trained to be keepers of the peace, not soldiers.
Yeah, there's
What's
a line.
She got?
What's that?
She wearing on her head there?
Ooh,
what is that?
Where are we at? Right there?
Look at that. Yeah,
this thing right here?
Yeah. I guess that's just her new style. Mm-hmm. She used to wear something a little bit different than that on her head.
Are you talking about that little was two lines there on the left side of her head?
That's what catches my attention.
Uh-huh.
And then, but it looks like that entire piece that frames her forehead is
new,
a different design than what she used to wear.
Does she have that as the fulcrum in Rebels?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
She looked vastly different in Rebels, in my opinion.
All right.
She's almost a different character in Rebels.
Very different. Mm-hmm. All right.
Not soldiers.
Keepers of the peace, not soldiers. That's echoed from Ahsoka there, a line that we heard said by, who was it? Who was the Keepers of the Peace? Not soldiers. Is that Obi-Wan? This says that
it's something
originally?
Obi-Wan.
Yes, yes.
Somewhere along the line.
You're laughing because I'm struggling to remember where that was.
Right.
No, that's not Obi-Wan.
No,
that's Mace Windu.
That's Mace Windu.
Keepers of the
that's
Peace.
What I was trying to tell
not
you.
Soldiers. All right, sorry.
Come on.
It's been a while, man. It's been a while. Got to get into that prequel vibe. I've been living in that sequel world for so long.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. This is taking us back to the sequel or the prequel era
for
the first time, really,
in a long time. since the Disney
It's
takeover.
the Disney acquisition of Lucasfilm. This is really the first dive back into that era that we're taking. Legit.
Yeah. All right. So now we see this is a new model of Anakin Skywalker. We see the longer hair. This is very much more of an Episode 3 Anakin.
We clones have mixed feelings about the war. Without it,
Ooh, all right. A lot of Mandalorians flying around.
They fly now?
They fly now. They've been flying for 50 years. But now what really intrigues me about, the whole idea of Death Watch and Mandalorian is, of course, with the Mandalorian live action series. And I think we're seeing potentially, if we know Dave Filoni, we're going to see the end of the Clone Wars and those flashbacks of the Mandalorian kind of butting up against each other. And I'm seeing some familiar colors in these Mando warriors here from what we see.
Yeah. That is a Mando, right? That's not a
Yeah.
clone. Well, that looks cool.
There's dragons? What do you got
Well,
here?
that almost looked sort of like that shape the son from Mortis would take when he turned into a big gargoyle. But I see many of them, so I don't
Some
think that
bat
represents-
wings here. It looks like maybe Anakin hanging over here, and then maybe Obi-Wan or a Mandalorian over here. Who knows what's going on?
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Maybe that's Bo-Katan.
Yeah, it could be. All right.
Yeah.
Winged creatures.
All part of the plan. The plan.
Ah.
Oh, okay. So we see something. Here we got Ahsoka. She's grabbing her head. Someone's in her head.
Darth Maul.
Yeah, potentially. This could, of course,
Maul
be creative
is
editing.
He's pulling her toward the dark side. So that should be pretty interesting. He kind of failed with old Ezra. Let's see how he does with Ahsoka as he works his way through the Star Wars animated characters. He tries to turn them to evil. I don't think he'll get too far with Ahsoka, though.
It does make me wonder what that is on her head that you're talking about. Those
Yeah,
two
it almost looks like it's a
lights.
light.
Yeah.
It glows.
Yeah.
Maybe she's a Lobot now. No.
Ahsoka's a Lobot. All right.
Plan.
Oh,
Admiral
look
French.
who it is. This guy he's got more lives than a cat.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be dead when we saw him in the that was technically I think that was the first episode, wasn't it, of the
Cat
of the
Mouse.
Clone Wars? Yeah, that was chronologically the first episode of the Clone Wars. That predates, again, chronologically speaking, as far as the official Star Wars timeline, predates the Clone Wars movie.
Now he's back.
Yeah.
And there'll be no explanation for how he's back, just like Palpatine. He's just back. No, he does. He has the cybernetic implants and all
He
that
does?
stuff. We know that.
Oh.
He's using a cane.
Oh,
So-
well, yeah, on one of his 6 legs.
Yeah.
8 legs.
How does he know which, cane?
He's like
When
Fred
to limp.
Sanford.
How does he know
just
when to
picks
limp?
it.
All right.
All right.
Everything is about to
The
change.
Ahsoka troopers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they take her back.
Everything is about to change. That was one of the moments watching this trailer for the first time that, I started like, wow, yeah, this is a big moment. Now that we have the benefit of the entire Skywalker saga having already unfolded itself, we know, I don't want to say we know the end of the continuity, the end of the saga, but we know, because we're not going to see the end. I think there's going to be things that happen after, but we know where it resolves right now. Seeing things like this, it really brings on a greater significance, I think, than what we would have had prior to the sequel trilogy. And it's really fun, I think, when you've already sort of reached the conclusion of the story, to go back and find these chunks of time to explore, and when you have the benefit of knowing what comes after, it's a whole different way of storytelling. It's really, really unique to Star Wars, I think.
Yeah, right.
Witness the end. Groundbreaking series. And God bless them for acknowledging that this was a groundbreaking series.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, they're the ones who made it, so.
Well, but what I mean is,
themselves on the back.
Well, but what I mean, look, we've been singing the praises of this show for practically a decade. The point being that, look, Disney they were the ones that came in and they said first thing to go was Clone Wars.
That's right.
And now here they are, having to acknowledge it, and that's by putting guys like Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau in charge. Yeah, and letting them take their bow.
And actually finally placing the confidence in a guy like Dave Filoni.
Right.
It's
about time.
I think they just thought of the Clone Wars was George Lucas's self-indulgent, expensive pet project.
Yes.
And,
yes.
They didn't recognize the value that it had to the loyal fan base over all of this time.
Mm-hmm.
They thought it was just some little kiddie puff thing, and it was on Cartoon Network, and it was just, I think, a joke to them. And also because a lot of the suits did not like the prequel era. They didn't want to have anything to do with the prequel era.
And they just read the headlines. They didn't know what was underneath the headlines of what was going on, within fandom and debating the prequels and all of that. They just said, I don't know, I heard that people didn't like those.
Right. And then, there's personal opinions also being involved in it. I didn't like those. And these are these guys, sitting in the ivory tower, controlling everything out of Burbank or wherever Disney corporate is located. I think it is in Burbank.
All right. Groundbreaking series.
Pregnant Padme.
Oh, was that pregnant Padme?
I believe so.
What? Yeah, she's got the baby bump showing right there.
I wouldn't say anything to her if I saw her.
No, you don't.
Because I think maybe it could just be some water weight or something,
Right.
But no, that looks like she's definitely got a.
That's the Padme that we see right before or right after the Battle of Coruscant at the top of episode 3, I think. That's what we're looking at there.
Right, maybe even after she's already told Anakin.
Could be.
She's expecting.
Could be.
We'll see how much these final episodes cross over into the Revenge of the Sith territory.
Yeah.
Y-Wings.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. A very angry Anakin. Anakin is looking very grumpy.
Right. Well, he's getting closer to sliding.
Yeah, right.
Every choice made.
Who was that putting on the helmet? Was that Rex?
Choice made.
I don't know.
Every choice made
Oh, that was Rex.
Yeah, Rex.
has led to this.
They're in the Grand Hall where Satine used to sit. Awesome.
Wow. Woo!
I mean, like I said, all I really care about seeing are those last 4 episodes. Because the other ones are going to be Crystal Crisis on Utapau and Bad Batch. And while it's going to be great to see those episodes fully realized and everything, they don't really scream series finality to me.
Yeah. So a lot of that trailer, Jim, you're saying is that's from the last 4 episodes.
I think a bulk of the grand storytelling elements are, especially the Ahsoka stuff and the Darth Maul stuff.
And we're looking at 12 episodes in total?
Yeah.
So that's a long 12 weeks if it's, 8 episodes of filler and 4 of, real significance.
Yeah. And, 8 episodes that, contain storylines that we're already familiar with.
Right.
I wish they didn't release those animatics, but they did so at a time when I think they were fully convinced that they weren't going to be produced, and they just wanted to do something to satisfy fans. But I wish they would have sat on those. You know, I wonder if any of the elements of Cad Bane and Boba Fett show up in this, because we have seen animatics of that as well.
That's right. There was a showdown between Boba and Cad Bane. We saw the animatics of that.
That fit into this, and there would have been some tease in this trailer. I don't think we're going to see any of that stuff.
Yeah. Maybe not. As I said, they're billing this as, you know, the end of this groundbreaking series. Is there wiggle room there? Is there a possibility that some of these plot points could be filled in? Could we be looking at, do you think Disney Plus would ever make the venture into some, you know, direct to Disney Plus, you know, animated features, things like that? Do you think that's something that they would entertain?
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah. Yeah. And I think they'll be looking very closely at how people view these episodes on Disney Plus. I think they're already looking closely at how people view Clone Wars on Disney Plus, taking very solid and strict management of all those statistics. But it's something I wanted to point out, and I didn't catch it while we were watching that trailer, but someone said a young Kanan Jarrus can be spotted during that hologram sequence.
Really?
Yeah, that you see Depa Billaba or whatever her name is.
All right. Well, let's go back. Let's see. Talking about during the hologram.
Her Padawan was
Kanan. This here.
There, back.
Oh, right here.
That wide shot there. Yeah, you see, there's a kid there on the right. There's Depa, and her Padawan was Caleb Doom, who changed his name to then Kanan Jarrus. That's probably him.
Right there. So, I mean, talk about a momentous happening within the Star Wars canon. This scene is actually seen in Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. We've actually got that clip. Here it is. This is the famous I sense a plot to destroy the Jedi. And this is in the film, it's seen from the perspective of Yoda and Mace Windu.
I sense a plot to destroy the Jedi. The dark side of the Force surrounds the Chancellor.
If he does not give up his emergency powers after the destruction of Grievous, then he should be removed from office.
The Jedi Council would have to take control of the Senate in order to secure a peaceful transition.
To a dark place this line of thought will carry us. Great care we must take.
No, that is not Jerry Nadler and Adam Schiff in 2020 American politics. That's actually Yoda and Mace Windu talking about the removal of Palpatine. But as I say, Jim, we've talked about, you know, for years how fun it would be if the Clone Wars went beyond and into, not necessarily beyond, but into the events of Revenge of the Sith and showed us some of these things, again, on the other side of the camera, and here they are doing that. Yeah. Yoda's on Kashyyyk, Mace is there on Coruscant, and as we saw with the Clone Wars clip here, if we scrub through here, now we see. So there. Let me get a good pause on this. Let's see, where are we at? Back it up. Oh,
Bo-Katan, the Mandalorians. You see Ahsoka and Darth Maul having a showdown in the Grand Hall, where Satine used to hold court. And we saw that in earlier seasons. Oh, there we are. There
Here we go. So what we just saw was from Mace Windu's perspective. Mace being, there physically. Now check this out though. Look at Yoda here. Yoda is not a hologram. But
so he's with these guys.
So he would be with Mace, but in Revenge of the Sith, is he not a hologram?
Well, maybe these aren't the same scenes.
Well, that's true.
Maybe
that could be.
This is a different sequence where they're having a holographic meeting. And this whole thing with Mace saying this thing, I believe there's a... See, now he is a hologram.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a different scene.
Yeah. Well, here he's saying the line.
I sense a plot to destroy the Jedi.
That's editing.
Great care we must take.
Right. But that's clearly the moment, what we're talking about is this is the...
Well, it leads you to believe that, right?
Well, yeah.
But I don't believe everything or anything I see in trailers.